I have big doubts we'll be able to make it.
It's really funny. About that,
no, we will.
It's so funny because probably she just like no.
Many people in the natural resources industry seem to believe they were the hidden hand behind moves in prices or political events. Yet they almost never appeared in public or in the pages of the newspapers. Few of our colleagues had ever heard of them, let alone spoken to them. Our curiosity only grew when we first tried to make contact. Glencore had deputized one of its in-house financiers to tell journalists, politely but firmly, that they could take their questions elsewhere. His first tack was to try to persuade us that our interest was misplaced. Glencore was, at that time, already the world's largest commodity trader. "We are a little company of no interest to anyone," the person said. "We would do better to spend our time writing about more interesting companies," he recommended. Louis Dreyfus, one of the largest agricultural commodity traders, employed an even simpler technique. It gave journalists the email address and phone number of an executive to contact with questions. But the phone was never answered, and the emails were never returned. When, after weeks of fruitless attempts, the elusive executive finally answered the phone, he said that, yes, of course he had seen our emails. Why then had he not responded, even with no comment? On the favourite response of a stonewalling PR man. His lack of response, he replied enigmatically, should have been seen as a form of response in itself. And then he hung up. This book grew out of a desire to understand and explain these enigmatic companies and individuals. We were lucky with our timing. Our interest came at a moment when the commodity traders were coming out of the shadows. Most strikingly, Glencore went public in 2011, in the largest ever flotation on the London market. A move that forced it to start opening up about its finances and submitting itself to questions from investors and the media. Its competitors, too, started hiring PR consultants, publishing information about their finances, and giving interviews to journalists. In over a year of research for this book, we've interviewed more than 100 active and retired commodity traders. Some have turned us down, but many more have been willing to talk, perhaps encouraged by the passage of time to open up their world to outsiders. We've spoken to more than 24 current and former Glencore partners, to every living founder of Trafigura, and to a dozen current.
In 600 feet, turn right onto Valley Street.
Executives of Vitol. The process of carrying out the interviews has offered its own insights into the riches the commodity trade has generated. We interviewed Andy Hall, who has a good claim to being the world's most famous living oil trader, and his 1,000-year-old castle, bedecked with modern art near Hanover. Another retired oil trader.
At the light, turn right onto Valley Street.
Did us to his stud farm in the English home counties. A third hosted us at his chalet in an exclusive Swiss ski resort. Many of the current crop of commodity traders were more guarded in their interactions with us, although every major trading house offered us.
In 1,000 feet, continue onto Roy Street.
With the exception of Archer Daniels Midland, the chief executives of each of the largest oil, metal, and agricultural traders gave us an interview. Some were more forthcoming than others. Ivan Blassenberg, the boss of Glencore, whose company was, at the time of research, being investigated by the US Justice Department in a corruption and money laundering probe, invited us to an interview on the top floor of his company's boxy Swiss headquarters. With his lawyer on one side and his PR man on the other, he parried our questions for 5 combative hours, insisting that large swathes of our conversation could not be quoted. The history recounted in this book is based primarily on all those interviews. Where we've recounted historical events or encounters, we have based them on the accounts of at least one person who was involved. Where different people differ in their recollections of the details, we've noted that. Have the traders always been entirely honest with us? we'll leave that for you to judge. When it comes to the more dubious corners of the business of commodity trading, we've received a variety of responses. One former Glencore trader began his conversation with us with the words,
Continue onto Roy Street, then turn left onto 9th Avenue North.
to tell you is not going to be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. There are things I'm just not going to tell you. Another trader shut down the conversation whenever it turned to the more scurrilous moments of his career. But he would not have made a good poker player. When we asked how he had managed to secure such a lucrative oil deal in Nigeria or Iran, a smile flickered across his face, and his eyes twinkled with everything left unsaid. We haven't relied solely on the traders' own accounts of themselves. This book is the product of 20 years of learning about the commodity traders. In that time, we've not only met and interviewed hundreds of traders, but also travelled to dozens of countries, from war-torn Libya to the US Farm Belt, to talk to the people who do business with the traders, the government officials.
Head south on Westlake Avenue North toward Mercer Street.
To interact with and
Make a U-turn at Mercer Street, then turn left onto Roy Street.
affected by their activities. We've also gathered thousands of pages of documents, many of which have been published, detailing the trade's flows, the networks of companies they hold, and the structure of their activity. The term commodity trade conjures a variety of different images, from trading pits of Chicago to the banks of computer firms, but the focus of this one is the companies and individuals whose business is buying and selling this one commodities. It is they who control the flow of natural resources in the world. It is
In a quarter mile, continue onto Bell Street.
evident that a most unique type of political and economic power is concentrated. That definition excludes the Wall Street banks and hedge funds that bet vast sums on moves in prices without ever coming close to an actual barrel of oil, a bushel of wheat, or a ton of copper. It also excludes the big miners and oil companies that have sophisticated networks around the world to sell their iron ore, copper, or oil, but wouldn't consider it their business to buy and sell commodities they hadn't produced. Of course, the category of commodity trader is somewhat blurry around the edges. Some large oil companies, such as BP and Shell, are also major traders above and beyond